So, today we are going to do something we've done, I want to say hundreds of times, but probably not really hundreds of times, but many, many times. We are going to read a new text. We are going to identify and annotate key details and then use them to summarize. This is an eyewitness account that we're talking about today. It is on page 6 in your booklet. It's the San Francisco earthquake, 1906. So remember, eyewitness account, they were actually there. And we are going to use what the author says to write a summary, a nonfiction summary. So remember, a nonfiction summary, you have the main idea, you have 3 to 4 key details that support your main idea. You have a connection to your own life, so it helps it stick in your mind better. And it needs to be all in your own words. You can't just, it won't make sense to just copy it straight out of the text anyway. But also to put in your own words, it helps you better comprehend it. And then finally, it needs to be 3 to 5 sentences. Remember, when you're writing a summary, the goal is not to have the most words. The goal is to make it short, compact, get to the point. So we'll do this. After this, we won't be doing IXLs. We will be working on our Unit 8 Week 1 test. So it's a short test. It's 10 questions. There's a Google form. So it's right after this link. Actually, just click on it, take the test, make sure it gets submitted, and that's your work for today. And tomorrow's Friday, and there'll be one more assignment for you, and it'll be the weekend already. So let's get started. Here we go. Today's assignment is using the San Francisco earthquake, an eyewitness account, to do the following. We're going to read the text. We're going to underline the key details in each paragraph. Make a chronological list of the most important details of paragraphs 1 through 8. That's the key there. We're not rereading the whole thing. For this assignment, only 1 through 8. Determine the main idea and create a summary. Remember, our summary for nonfiction or informational is state the main idea, 3 to 4 key details, add a personal connection, have it all in your own words. So let's read 1 through 8 together, and we'll start it and see if we can find some key details. And this is by Emma Burke. Remember, this part is just a little blurb that gives you some background. At 5:12 a.m. on April 18, 1906, residents of San Francisco, California were jolted out of their beds by the first shock of a violent earthquake. More than a century later, this quake still ranks as one of the most significant geological, having to do with the earth, geology, rocks, landforms, events of all time. Emma M. Burke, who lived on Waller Street near Golden Gate Park at the time of the earthquake, published this account of her experiences that fateful day. She was actually there. No one can comprehend the calamity to San Francisco in its entirety. Calamity is like disaster. The individual experience can probably give the general public the clearest idea. I was one of the fortunate ones, for neither personal injury, so she wasn't hurt, nor death visited my household. Nobody died, nobody was hurt. But what I saw and felt, I will try to give to you. And here's a photograph of San Francisco during the 1906 earthquake, so you can just see how the buildings were destroyed. It was 5:13 a.m. and my husband had arisen and lit the gas stove and put on the water to heat. He had closed our bedroom doors so that I might enjoy one more nap. We were in a 4-story apartment flat, said to be built with unusual care. So we're looking for events. So this would be an event, and I know because it gives me a time period. So at 5:13, her husband got up, lit the gas stove, and put on water to heat. So somebody was already awake. 12 flats so constructed occupied a corner 1 block from Golden Gate Park. So a flat, so you're talking about an apartment building. All our rooms, 6 in number, open into a square reception hall from which the stairs descended. So she's just describing what her home looks like, what her apartment looks like, so then that reader kind of has that detail when they think about how the earthquake happened. The shock came and hurled my bed against an opposite wall. That's an event, right? The earthquake came and hurled her bed against an opposite wall. I sprang up and, holding firmly to the footboard, managed to keep on my feet to the door. The shock was constantly growing heavier. Rumbles, crackling noises, and falling objects already commenced the din. So she's saying it was shaking more and more, and it was getting louder and louder, and things were falling, and it was cracking. The door refused to open. The earthquake had wedged it in its door frame. My husband was pushing on the opposite side, and I pulled with all my strength. When a twist of the building released it, the door sprang open. So that would be an event too. The door refused to open. Her husband was pushing the opposite side, and she was pulling, And then the earth continued to shift, and the door sprang open. So here I'm going to go back and put this to be 1, 2, 3, right? We braced ourselves in the doorway, clinging to the casing. So the casing is that outside part of a door. Like if I have this, and here's my actual doorknob in here, this part's the casing. Our son appeared across the reception room. My husband motioned for him to stand in his door also for fear of the chimney. So that's something else that they're doing. They're standing in the doorway, and the son is standing in the doorway. The doorway is a strong part of your household because there's extra support in here. You have to have like 2x4s around here and here and some support like this to keep it strong anyway. And they didn't want the chimney to fall. It grew constantly worse, the noise deafening, the crash of dishes, falling pictures, the rattle of the flat tin roof, bookcases being overturned, the piano hurled across the parlor. The groaning and straining of the building itself, broken glass and falling plaster, made such a roar that no one noise could be distinguished. So if I was going to summarize this whole thing, it's just getting louder and shaking and constant noise. Paragraph 8 was the last one we were going to read to. We never knew when the chimney came tearing through. We never knew when a great marine picture weighing 125 pounds crashed down, not 8 feet away from us. We were frequently shaken loose from our hold on the door, and only kept our feet by mutual help and our utmost efforts. So they couldn't even tell that it was getting so, what was happening because it was so loud, and they didn't realize when the chimney fell down or when this picture crashed, and they kept having to get back to their feet and hold on. The floor moved like short, choppy waves of the sea, crisscrossed by a tide as mighty as themselves. The ceiling responded to all the angles of the floor. I never expected to come out alive. I looked across the reception room at the white face of our son and thought to see the floors give way with him momentarily. How a building could stand such motion and keep its frame intact is still a mystery to me. So this whole thing is just describing it. It was loud. Everything was moving violently. And she thought they weren't going to live, right? So thought they'd die. Okay. She wrote in a pencil, but oh well. So now I'm going to go back, and I'm going to think about what is my main idea. What are some key details that I can use there? If I go back and look at the details that I found, I have when it started, 5:13. What happened? It started to shake violently, right? The door refused to open. They stood in the doorway. They had their son stand in the doorway. And that's kind of the whole thing. My main idea. Remember my author's name was Emma, so I think I'm going to start with that. Emma Burke. I think that was her name. Describes a sudden earthquake which started at 5:13 and shook her home violently. Right? And then it talked about how they were in the doorway, so I'm going to add that. The family took shelter in their doorways as the quake created violent shaking, incredible loudness. I don't know how else to say it really. And a fear for their lives. So they thought they were going to die. And that's pretty much everything. So I talked about the shaking, the being in the doorway, when it started, fear for the lives. And the last thing I'm going to do is make a personal connection. And I've never been in an earthquake, so I cannot connect with that. But I have been through, not like a tornado was actually over my house, but being in the basement, being worried as a kid. So this reminds me of being in the basement during a tornado warning. And I felt, when I was a kid, I was really scared of storms. So, and the panic and fear I felt in that situation. Because I'm sure she was feeling way more fear than I was, given what was happening to her. So if you can make a connection, whether it be, hopefully you haven't been through an earthquake, but maybe you have, or you have family you know has, or you've been in a similar situation, whether it's with a tornado or even a bad thunderstorm or a fire, any of those natural type disasters where you don't really have control, you're just kind of waiting for it to pass. It's a connection you can make. When you are done with that, we do have an IXL to work on. Or no, we don't. Not an IXL today. When you're done with this, we are taking the test. So it's Unit 8, Week 1 test. It's 10 questions. And I'll pop on and show you what it looks like. Well, we get to keep going with the earthquake theme here. So our Week 1 test, the day the world shook, is the passage. And this is Chile in South America. Let me get rid of this thing. Remember to read the questions first, so we'll go do that quick. So which sentence best summarizes what the passage is about? So what is it mainly about? Choose two key details that support the answer from part A. So why did you think that was the main idea? Why did you think that was the summary? Choose detail 1, mark one of those off, mark one of those second off. The word tremor is used in paragraph 4. What does the word tremor mean? I'm going to go back. Paragraph 4, find the word tremor. Use context clues like we did earlier to discover the meaning. It's like a domain-specific word. Use the words around it to help you. Look at the map. The center of the earthquake was closest to what city? And we've used a lot of text features this week, especially. So I'm going to go look at the map. Center, what city is it close to? It doesn't matter if you can spell it or say it or sound it out or not. Just match it up. What detail best shows when most people were safe during the earthquake? So you're going to look and see why were they safe? Which one makes the most sense? Which sentence from the passage goes into the effects box? So here's the cause. The whole world shook. What was the effect of that? What happened because of this? Number 6, choose one sentence that shows the cause of this effect. Most people were safe and unharmed. Most people were safe and unharmed. Why were they safe and unharmed? What kept them safe? Look through here and find that. 7, why the author feel good about giving his presentation. Go back and reread there. It's going to be a combination of what the story says and what you infer. In paragraph 5, what does the word unharmed mean? So that's prefixes, unharmed. What is that? Which does that mean? So it's 10 questions. If you come with the 2-part questions, shouldn't take you too long. Make sure to read carefully, go back and reread the story, and take your time. And you will be awesome. Nothing to worry about. So, see you tomorrow.